The metal ship moved slowly through space. Its hull was dark gray and covered with scratches. Small lights blinked on its surface. To anyone watching, it looked old and simple. Inside the ship, Commander Park Tae-ho sat in his chair and watched the giant space station grow larger on his screen. "There it is," said Lee Soo-jin, standing next to him. She was a scientist who studied alien life. Her eyes were bright with excitement. "The convergence point, the most important meeting place in the galaxy." Park Tae-ho nodded. He was a calm man with gray hair and steady hands. He had been a soldier for 30 years. Today he would speak for all of humanity to 6 powerful alien races. "Are you ready for this?" he asked. "As ready as anyone can be for meeting aliens," Soo-jin replied. She looked at her tablet, checking her notes about each alien race one more time. Behind them, Kim Do-won worked at his engineering station. His fingers moved quickly over the controls. He was checking the ship's systems, but he was also doing something else, something the aliens would not expect. His screen showed data about the alien station that no simple human ship should be able to gather. Yoon Ha-na sat at her own station, watching everything. She was an intelligence officer. Her job was to learn about their enemies and friends. Right, now she was studying the alien ships near the station. There were hundreds of them. Each one belonged to one of the 6 great alien empires. The communication screen turned on. A voice spoke in perfect human language, but it sounded cold and mechanical. "Human vessel. You will dock at Bay 779. You will bring only 4 people. You will carry no weapons." "Understood," Park Tae-ho replied. He kept his voice steady and polite. The ship moved toward the docking bay. Through the windows they could see the massive station. It was made of strange materials that glowed with their own light. Some parts looked like crystal. Others seemed to be made of pure energy. It was beautiful and frightening at the same time. "Look at those ships," Do-won whispered. He pointed at the alien vessels. Some were as big as cities. Others changed shape as they watched. One ship seemed to be made of living metal that moved like water. "Try not to stare," Ha-na said quietly. "We need to look impressed but not overwhelmed." The docking process was smooth. Soon they heard the hiss of air as the station's atmosphere filled the docking tube. Park Tae-ho stood up and straightened his uniform. It was simple and dark blue with few decorations. The aliens expected humans to look primitive so they would not disappoint them. They walked through the docking tube and into the station. The corridor was huge with walls that seemed to stretch forever upward. Strange lights floated in the air without any support. The floor felt solid, but it was transparent, and they could see deep into the station below. "Stay close," Park Tae-ho said. "Remember, we are here to learn and to make friends if possible." They followed glowing arrows on the floor that led them to the meeting chamber. The chamber was enormous. In the center was a round table that could seat dozens of beings. Around the table sat the representatives of the 6 alien empires. The first group they saw was from the Vorthak Empire. They looked like giant crystals that had learned to walk. Their leader was twice as tall as a human and sparkled with inner light. When it spoke, its voice sounded like wind chimes. "So these are the humans," the crystal being said. Its voice was full of amusement. "They look even more primitive than we expected." Next to the Vorthak sat creatures from the Quillian Collective. They had no solid bodies at all. Instead, they were made of pure energy contained in floating spheres. Different colors swirled inside each sphere. When they communicated, the colors changed and pulsed. The Nexari swarm representatives looked like insects, but they were the size of humans. They had 6 arms each and moved in perfect synchronization. When one moved its head, all the others moved theirs at exactly the same time. Their compound eyes never blinked. The Corvin Assembly had sent robots. These machines were sleek and perfect, with no wasted parts. They were beautiful in their efficiency. Their metal surfaces reflected the strange lights of the chamber. When they spoke, their voices were precisely modulated. From the Eldrani Federation came beings that looked almost human, but their skin was pale blue and their eyes were completely black. They said nothing with their mouths, but everyone in the room could feel them touching the edges of their minds with telepathic power. The last group was the oldest. The Threnody Dominion representatives were ancient beyond measure. They looked like tall, thin shadows wrapped in dark robes. Only their eyes were visible, and those eyes held the wisdom and weariness of countless centuries. "Please sit," said the Vorthak leader, whose name was Kristen Prime. The crystal being gestured toward 4 empty chairs that looked tiny compared to all the alien seats. The humans sat down. Park Tae-ho placed his hands on the table and looked around at each alien representative. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us," he said. "Humanity is honored to be invited to this gathering." "Honored?" One of the energy beings from the Quillian Collective pulsed with what might have been laughter. "You should be grateful we did, not simply ignore your primitive signals. Your technology is thousands of years behind ours," added a Corvan robot. Its voice was perfectly calm, as if it was simply stating a fact. "Your ships use chemical propulsion. Your computers are barely more advanced than counting devices." Sujin leaned forward slightly. "We may be new to space travel, but we are eager to learn. Perhaps we could share knowledge with each other." The Nexari representatives all tilted their heads at exactly the same angle. When they spoke in unison. "What could you possibly teach us? We have mastered the coordination of billions of minds. You cannot even coordinate your own single planet." The Eldrani said nothing out loud, but everyone felt their mental touch. The message was clear. Humans were mentally weak, easily read, and barely intelligent by galactic standards. Only the Threnodi remained silent, watching with those ancient eyes. Duan kept his expression neutral, but inside he was fascinated. His engineering mind was already analyzing everything he saw: the station's power systems, the alien technologies, the way their ships were built. What he discovered was interesting. Very interesting indeed. Hana was doing her own analysis. She watched how the aliens interacted with each other. She could see the tensions between the different empires. The Vorthak and Quillian clearly disliked each other. The Corvan looked down on everyone else. The Nexari trusted only themselves. The Eldrani seemed bored by the whole proceeding. And the Threnodi. They were watching everything with calculating eyes. "We understand that humanity must prove itself worthy of joining galactic society," Park Tae-ho said. "We are prepared for whatever tests you deem appropriate." Kristen Prime's crystal body rang like a bell as it laughed. "Tests? Oh, you misunderstand, little human. We are not here to test you for membership. We are here to decide whether your species should be allowed to continue existing as a free civilization." The chamber fell silent, except for the soft humming of alien technologies. "However," Kristen Prime continued, "we are not unreasonable. We will give you a chance to prove that humanity has something to offer the galaxy. You will be given a series of demonstrations. If you can show that your species has any value beyond basic labor, we might consider allowing you to exist under our protection." "And if we refuse these demonstrations?" Park Tae-ho asked quietly. "Then your solar system will be quarantined, and humanity will remain trapped on its single world until you evolve into something more useful, or until you destroy yourselves, whichever comes first." Sujin felt her heart racing, but she kept her voice steady. "What kind of demonstrations?" "Each of our empires will present you with a challenge based on our greatest strengths," said a Corvan robot. "If you fail even one, the process ends immediately." The energy beings of the Quillian pulsed with colors. "We will test your understanding of energy and power." The Nexari spoke together. "We will examine your ability to coordinate and work as one." The Eldrani's mental voice touched everyone. "We will probe your mental defenses and psychic potential." The Threnodi finally spoke, their voices like whispers from the grave. "We will see if you understand the ancient knowledge that underlies all technology." And Kristen Prime added, "We will test your military capabilities. Not that we expect much from beings who still use metal projectiles as weapons." Park Tae-ho stood up slowly. The other humans rose with him. "We accept your challenges," he said. "When do we begin?" "Tomorrow," Kristen Prime replied. "Rest well, humans. It may be your last night as a free species." As the humans were escorted to their quarters, none of the aliens noticed the small smile that crossed Do-won's face. His scans of their technologies had revealed something very interesting. These alien empires, for all their arrogance, had never encountered anything quite like what humanity had developed. In their quarters that night, the four humans held a quiet meeting. "Are we really ready for this?" Sujin asked. Park Tae-ho looked at each of his companions. "Do-won, what did your scans tell you?" The engineer grinned. "Their technology is impressive, but it follows predictable patterns. Each species has focused on one area of development and ignored others. They think that makes them superior." "And our technology?" Hana asked. "Is about 50 years ahead of anything." The testing chamber was a sphere the size of a football stadium. Its walls shimmered with energy fields that could create any environment the aliens wanted. Park Tae-ho and his team stood in the center, watching as the 6 alien empires took their positions around them. "The first test begins now," announced Kristen Prime. The Vorthak leader's crystal body caught the light and scattered it in rainbow patterns. The Quillian Collective will demonstrate why energy mastery is the foundation of all advanced civilization. The energy beings moved forward, their spherical forms pulsing with different colors. The lead Quillian sphere brightened until it was almost too bright to look at. When it spoke, its voice echoed strangely in the chamber. "Humans, we will give you a simple task. You must power this device for 60 seconds. A strange machine materialized in front of them. It looked like a tree, made of metal and crystal, with branches that sparked with electricity. "The device requires the energy output of a small star. Use whatever primitive methods you have." Park Tae-ho looked at the machine, then at his team. "Jang Min-ho, you're up." A new human had joined them for the tests. Jang Min-ho was a quiet man with thick glasses and gentle hands. He looked nothing like a warrior or a genius. The aliens barely glanced at him as he walked forward. "This is your energy specialist?" asked the Quillian, with what sounded like amusement. "He looks like he could barely power a light bulb." Min-ho smiled politely and pulled a small device from his pocket. It was no bigger than a phone and looked like something a child might play with. The aliens watched with growing amusement as he connected it to the massive energy tree. "Are you serious?" Kristen Prime's crystal body chimed with laughter. "That tiny device is supposed to power something that requires stellar energy?" "Let him try," said one of the Corvin robots. "This will be educational for the humans. They need to understand the gap between our capabilities." Min-ho pressed a single button on his device. Instantly, the energy tree burst into life. Power flowed through every branch, every crystal, every spark of electricity. The machine hummed with more energy than it had ever received before. The 60 seconds passed, then 2 minutes, then 5 minutes. Min-ho's tiny device never faltered. The Quillian Collective's spheres flickered with confusion. "Impossible," their leader said. "That device cannot contain enough energy. What power source are you using?" "Oh, this?" Min-ho held up his device. "It's just a quantum vacuum extractor. We learned how to pull energy directly from empty space about 20 years ago. Very basic technology for us now." The aliens stared in silence. What Min-ho had just described was theoretical technology that even their most advanced scientists had never achieved. Choi Yunbi stepped forward for the next test. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and quick movements. She looked like a teacher or an office worker, not a military strategist. The Nexari swarm representatives moved into position for their challenge. "Coordination is the key to all advanced civilization," the Nexari said in perfect unison. "We will test your ability to work together." The chamber changed around them, creating a complex maze filled with puzzles, traps, and obstacles. Your team must navigate this maze and solve all puzzles within 30 minutes. Perfect coordination is required. One mistake by any team member will result in failure. Yunbi looked at the maze, then at her teammates. She pulled out what looked like a simple headset and handed similar devices to the others. "Put these on," she said. "What are they?" asked Park Tae-ho. "Neural coordination interfaces. They'll link our minds temporarily so we can work as one unit while still keeping our individual thoughts." The Nexari's compound eyes widened. Even they, with their perfect hive-mind coordination, had to be born into their collective consciousness. The idea that individuals could temporarily link and then separate again was beyond their understanding. The humans put on the headsets and entered the maze. They moved like dancers, each person knowing exactly where the others were and what they were doing. They solved puzzles that required 4 people to act at precisely the same moment. They avoided traps by sharing sensory information instantly. They completed the maze in 12 minutes. When they removed the headsets, they were completely individual again, but the Nexari were buzzing with excitement and confusion. How do you maintain individual identity while sharing consciousness? They asked. This should not be possible. It's all about the technology, Yunbi said simply. We found ways to link minds without losing ourselves. The Corvin assembly rolled forward for the third test. Their perfect metal bodies gleamed under the chamber lights. Technology advancement is the measure of true intelligence, their leader announced. We will give you broken devices from various galactic civilizations. You must repair and improve them using only basic tools. They presented a table covered with alien machines. Some were Vorthak crystal computers that had been shattered. Others were Quillion energy regulators that had burned out. There were even some broken Corvin components, though the robots clearly didn't expect the humans to understand their superior engineering. Kim Do-won stepped up to the table. He had been quiet during the previous tests, but now his eyes lit up with interest. He picked up a broken Vorthak crystal computer and examined it carefully. Interesting design, he said, but you're losing about 40% efficiency due to quantum interference in the crystal matrix. He pulled out what looked like a simple toolkit, but the tools were unlike anything the aliens had seen. Within minutes, he had not only repaired the crystal computer but modified it to run faster and more efficiently than the original. He moved to the Quillion energy regulator. Nice work on the plasma containment, but you're using a linear flow pattern. If you create a spiral pattern instead... His tools worked on the device, reshaping it at the molecular level. When he finished, the regulator was producing twice as much power as the original design. The Corvin robots rolled closer as Do-won picked up their broken component. That is a gravitational wave detector, their leader said. Our most advanced technology. You cannot possibly understand its function. Do-won smiled and began working. His tools moved with impossible precision, not just repairing the device, but completely redesigning it. When he finished, the gravitational wave detector could sense disturbances that the original couldn't even detect. Your tools, a Corvin robot said, its voice filled with something that might have been awe. What are they? Programmable matter constructors, Do-won replied. They can reshape any material at the atomic level. We use them for basic repairs. The fourth test came from the Eldrani Federation. The pale blue beings with black eyes stepped forward, and everyone in the chamber felt their mental presence grow stronger. Mental strength and psychic defense are the foundations of survival, their leader said without moving her lips. Her thoughts touched everyone's minds. We will attempt to read your thoughts, access your memories, and control your actions. If you have any psychic defenses at all, now is the time to use them. Oh, Yuri stepped forward. She was a diplomat, known for her skill at reading people and managing difficult negotiations. She looked completely ordinary. But when the Eldrani began their mental assault, something unexpected happened. Instead of trying to block the psychic attack, Yuri seemed to absorb it. The Eldrani's mental probes hit her mind and simply disappeared, as if they had been swallowed by a black hole. What are you doing to our psychic energy? The Eldrani leader asked, speaking aloud for the first time. There was concern in her voice. Oh, I'm not blocking your attacks, Yuri said cheerfully. I'm converting them into useful energy and storing them for later use. My neural implants can turn psychic energy into electrical power. Please, keep trying. You're helping me charge my devices. The Eldrani tried harder, pouring more psychic power into their attack. But the more energy they used, the stronger Yuri seemed to become. Finally, they stopped, exhausted and confused. You are turning our greatest strength into your advantage, the Eldrani leader whispered. This is not possible. Psychic energy cannot be converted to other forms. Actually, it can, Yuri said. All energy is the same at the quantum level. We just needed to find the right conversion method. The chamber fell silent. 4 tests had been completed, and in each one, the humans had not just passed, but had demonstrated technology that surpassed what the aliens thought possible. Only the Threnody Dominion remained. The ancient beings stepped forward, their shadow-wrapped forms, moving like smoke. When they spoke, Their voices seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. Ancient knowledge is the foundation of all advancement, they said. We have existed for millions of years. We have seen civilizations rise and fall. We will show you artifacts from the dawn of the galaxy. If you can understand even one of them, we will be impressed. They presented a collection of objects that hurt to look at directly. They seemed to exist partially outside normal space and time. The shapes shifted and changed as the humans watched them. These artifacts contain the fundamental principles of reality manipulation, the Threnody leader explained. They were created by the first civilization to achieve transcendence. In all our millions of years, we have barely begun to understand them. Park Tae-ho stepped forward this time. He looked at the artifacts carefully, then smiled. The message came in the middle of the night. Park Tae-ho woke to the sound of his communication device buzzing urgently. The display showed an emergency signal from the Convergence Point's central command. "Commander Park," came Kristen Prime's voice, but it sounded different now, less arrogant, more concerned. "We have a situation. Our sensors have detected a massive fleet approaching the station, unknown vessels moving at impossible speeds." Park Tae-ho sat up in his bed. "Unknown? I thought your empires controlled all the space around here." "We do. These ships are not from any known civilization. They appear to be using some form of dimensional travel that our sensors can barely detect. We need to activate the station's defense systems immediately." "What does this have to do with us?" Park Tae-ho asked, though he suspected he already knew the answer. "The final test was supposed to be a military simulation tomorrow," Kristen Prime replied. "We are moving it to right now. Your species will help defend this station against the unknown threat. Consider it your final examination." Park Tae-ho got dressed quickly and woke his team. Within minutes, they were heading to the command center. The corridors of the station were filled with aliens running in all directions. Emergency lights flashed, and warning sounds echoed from every wall. In the command center, massive screens showed the approaching fleet. The ships were unlike anything anyone had seen before. They were dark and angular, covered in strange symbols that hurt to look at directly. There were hundreds of them, and they were getting closer fast. Analysis of the unknown vessels shows massive energy weapons and some kind of reality distortion field, reported a Corvin robot. Estimated time to arrival, 47 minutes. Admiral Shin Woo-jin appeared on the communication screen from the human ship. He was a tall man with steel-gray hair and eyes that had seen many battles. "Commander Park, we're picking up some interesting readings from those incoming ships." "What kind of readings?" Park Tae-ho asked. "The energy signatures match descriptions from our historical databases. These appear to be Vorthak Empire vessels, but modified with technology from all 6 alien civilizations." Kristen Prime's crystal body rang with alarm. "Impossible! Those are not our ships. We would never attack the convergence point." "Check your fleet positions," Admiral Shin suggested calmly. The aliens worked frantically at their control stations. Slowly, the truth emerged. Ships from all 6 empires were missing from their home fleets. Not just a few ships, but entire battle groups. "They've been taken," whispered the Eldrani leader. "Someone has captured our vessels and turned them against us." "But who could do such a thing?" asked the Quillian collective. "And how?" Dr. Nam So-young appeared on another communication screen. She was a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a gentle voice. "I'm afraid we know who's responsible," she said. "We've been tracking this group for several years. They call themselves the Void Coalition. They're a collection of criminal organizations from various species who have been stealing technology and ships across the galaxy." "Why didn't you warn us?" demanded a Nexari representative. "We tried to contact your government several times," Dr. Nam replied. "Your response was that primitive human concerns were not worth your attention." The command center fell silent except for the sound of alien computers calculating the approaching doom. 35 minutes until arrival," announced a Corvin robot. "What? Are the station's defenses?" Park Tae-ho asked. "Minimal," Kristen Prime admitted. "The convergence point was designed as a neutral meeting place. We never expected it to be attacked by our own ships." "Then we'll have to handle this ourselves," Park Tae-ho said. He turned to his communication device. "Admiral Shin, please activate." Protocol Omega. Are you certain, Commander? Once we reveal our true capabilities, there's no going back. Park Tae-ho looked around at the aliens who had spent the last 2 days insulting and threatening humanity. Now they were looking at him with hope in their eyes. I'm certain. Activate all systems. Understood. Protocol Omega is now active. The main screens, everyone watched as the human ship began to change. Its crude metal hull started to shimmer and shift. The gray metal transformed into something that looked like liquid crystal. The ship's shape flowed and reformed, becoming sleeker and more elegant. Weapons that had been hidden inside the hull emerged and took their positions. The ship grew larger, more complex, more beautiful than anything the aliens had ever seen. "What is happening to your vessel?" Kristen Prime asked in amazement. "We're dropping the disguise," Admiral Shin replied. "This is what a human warship actually looks like." But the transformation was just beginning. More ships appeared around the first one, materializing out of what looked like empty space. They were all different designs, each one more advanced than anything in the alien fleets. Captain Bae Jun-seo's voice came over the communication system. He was the leader of humanity's most elite military unit. "Admiral, Ghost Protocol Team is ready for boarding operations." "Boarding operations?" asked the Eldrani leader. "The enemy ships haven't even arrived yet." "Oh, we're not waiting for them to arrive," Captain Bae replied cheerfully. "We're going to them." On the screens, small ships launched from the human fleet, but these weren't ordinary fighters. As the aliens watched in amazement, the small ships simply vanished from normal space. "They're using quantum tunneling, Dr. Nam explained. "Our ships can travel through dimensional space and emerge anywhere we choose. The enemy won't see us coming." Engineer Hong Yi-jin's voice joined the conversation. She was a young woman with an excited voice who clearly loved her work. "I'm also deploying our adaptive AI systems. They'll analyze the stolen alien technology and develop countermeasures in real time." "Adaptive AI?" asked a Corvin robot. "Artificial intelligence that can learn and adapt during combat?" "It's more than that," Hong Yi-jin replied. "Our AIs can actually improve captured enemy technology and turn it against them. Very useful when fighting with stolen ships." 20 minutes until enemy arrival, announced the station computers. "Actually," said Admiral Shin, "I think they're already here." The screens changed to show the approaching enemy fleet, but something was wrong. The dark, angular ships were now surrounded by small human fighters that had appeared out of nowhere. Explosions bloomed across the enemy fleet as the human ships attacked with impossible precision. "How are you doing this?" Kristen Prime demanded. "Your fighters are inside our fleet formations without being detected." "Dimensional phase shifting," Captain Bae explained as his voice came from one of the fighters. "We can exist partially outside normal space. Enemy sensors can't detect us until we choose to attack." On the screens, they watched as human boarding. Teams simply walked through the hulls of enemy ships as if they were ghosts. Once inside, they quickly took control of the vessel's critical systems. "We've secured the lead command ship," Captain Bae reported. "The enemy appears to be a collection of pirates and criminals using stolen technology. They're not very good at working together." "Can you disable their weapons?" Park Tae-ho asked. "Already done. In fact, we're now turning their own ships against them. Hong Yi-jin's AIs have taken control of their systems and improved their efficiency by about 300%. The battle, if it could even be called that, was over in less than 10 minutes. The entire enemy fleet was either captured or disabled, and not a single human ship had taken any damage." The aliens in the command center stared at the screens in silence. They had just watched a few dozen human ships defeat a fleet of hundreds, using technology that made their most advanced systems look primitive. "How?" Kristen Prime finally asked. "How is this possible? Yesterday you were using metal ships and chemical rockets." Admiral Shin appeared on the main screen. Behind him, they could see the interior of his ship, which looked like something from a dream. The walls seemed to be made of flowing light, and the controls responded to his thoughts as much as his touch. "Those were reconnaissance vessels," he explained. "We use them when we want to observe other civilizations without intimidating them. We've been studying your species for several years." "Studying us?" The Quillian collective pulsed with confused colors. "Of course," Dr. Nam said. "When we detected the 6 galactic empires, we needed to understand your technologies, your cultures, and your intentions before making contact. We couldn't risk starting a war by accident. But your technology, a Nexari representative said, it's impossible. You can phase through solid matter, travel through dimensions, control reality itself. How did a young species like yours develop such capabilities? Li Sujin smiled. We had some help. About 60 years ago, we found some very old artifacts buried on Earth. They were left behind by a civilization that disappeared millions of years ago. The Threnody Dominion leader stepped forward, his ancient eyes wide with shock. You found artifacts from the creators, the first civilization? Yes, we found their artifacts, but more importantly, we found their message. They left instructions for younger races, teaching us how to understand the fundamental forces of reality. They wanted their knowledge to survive even after they transcended physical existence. But we found creator artifacts too, Kristen Prime said. We studied them for thousands of years and barely learned anything. 3 months had passed since the incident at Convergence Point. The news of humanity's true capabilities had spread across the galaxy like wildfire, causing chaos in every major civilization. Ambassador Lim Kyung-soo sat in his new office aboard, the diplomatic station that humans had built near the Galactic Center. Through his window, he could see ships from dozens of species arriving daily, all hoping to establish contact with humanity. Ambassador, we have 17 more requests for technology sharing agreements, his assistant reported. Also, the Quillian Collective is asking again about energy conversion technology, and the Nexari want to know if we'll share our neural coordination interfaces. Kyung-soo rubbed his temples. He was a patient man, but the last 3 months had tested even his considerable diplomatic skills. Schedule meetings with all of them, but remind them that we don't simply give away technology. We need to build trust first. His communication device buzzed. General An Hai-wan appeared on the screen, calling from Earth's Orbital Defense Command. She looked tired, and Kyung-soo could see the stress in her eyes. Kyung-soo, we have a problem, she said, without greeting. Our deep space monitors are picking up massive fleet movements from 12 different civilizations. They're all heading toward human space. Hostile movements? Kyung-soo asked, feeling his stomach tighten. Unknown. Some might be coming to ask for help or alliance. Others, well, our intelligence suggests they're planning something more aggressive. On Earth, Dr. Ryu Chang-min was working in his laboratory, studying fragments of alien technology that various species had tried to reverse engineer from human designs. What he found was both amusing and concerning. The Corvan Assembly has managed to create a basic dimensional phase shifter, he reported to his team. It's about as advanced as our technology from 30 years ago, but they think they've achieved a breakthrough. His research partner looked at the data. What about the others? The Vorthak Empire is trying to copy our quantum energy extractors, but they keep creating small black holes instead of stable power sources. The Quillian Collective has actually made some progress on reality manipulation, but their approach is so brute force that they're causing spatial distortions in their test areas. Ryu Chang-min pulled up more data on his screen. The most concerning is the alliance that's forming between the Nexari Swarm and the Eldrani Federation. They're trying to combine their hive-mind coordination with psychic amplification to create some kind of collective consciousness weapon. Across the galaxy, in the depths of space where old powers slumber, something ancient stirred. The Void Shepherds had remained hidden for millions of years, watching younger civilizations rise and fall. But the emergence of human technology had caught their attention. The new species has creator artifacts, spoke their leader, a being so old that its thoughts moved slowly across eons. Not just artifacts. They have learned the creator's true lessons. Should we reveal ourselves? Asked another Void Shepherd. Not yet, but we must watch. If they are truly worthy of the creator's legacy, then the time of the Great Awakening may finally be at hand. Meanwhile, Seo Dong-hyun was having the most dangerous assignment of his life. The spy had infiltrated a secret meeting between representatives of 8 different alien civilizations. They were gathered in a hidden station in the Outer Rim, planning what they called the human problem. They are too dangerous to be allowed to exist freely, declared a Vorthak military commander. Their technology could destroy the natural order of the galaxy. Agreed, said a Corvan general. But direct confrontation would be suicide. We've seen what their ships can do. Then we use subtlety, suggested an Eldrani admiral. We turn their own allies against them. Create situations where they must choose between helping different species. Force them to make enemies. A Nexari, war coordinator, spoke in the unified voice of their collective. We have identified 73 smaller civilizations that are seeking human protection. If we threaten these worlds simultaneously, the humans cannot save them all. They will be forced to show weakness. Seo Dong-hyun recorded everything, his hidden devices capturing not just words but also psychic communications and encrypted data transmissions. What he learned made his blood run cold. The conspiracy against humanity was larger and more coordinated than anyone had suspected. Back on the diplomatic station, Ambassador Kyung-soo was meeting with a delegation from the Zephyr Republic, a smaller civilization that controlled only 3 star systems. Their leader, a tall insectoid being named Clickspeaker Zevon, was practically vibrating with excitement. Ambassador Kyung-soo, our worlds are under threat from the Draconian Empire, Clickspeaker Zevon explained. They demand we surrender our mining rights to them, or they will invade our systems. We have no military capable of stopping them. What would you like from humanity? Kyung-soo asked. Protection. Alliance. Anything you can offer. We know that humans value freedom and justice. Our people have studied your history, your culture. You fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. Kyung-soo nodded thoughtfully. We can offer you defensive technology and training for your military, but we don't fight wars for other species. We help them fight their own wars. That would be more than enough, Clickspeaker Zevon replied gratefully. But I must warn you, the Draconian Empire is allied with several major powers. If you help us, you will make powerful enemies. We're not afraid of making enemies when we're helping friends, Kyung-soo said simply. As the Zephyr delegation left, Kyung-soo's assistant brought him an urgent message from Seo Dong-hyun. The spy's report detailed the massive conspiracy forming against humanity, including plans to attack human allies and force Earth into impossible choices. Kyung-soo immediately contacted General An Hee-won and Admiral Shin Woo-jin for an emergency meeting. The situation is worse than we thought, General An said after reviewing the intelligence. They're not just planning to attack us. They're planning to attack everyone who allies with us. How many civilizations are part of this conspiracy? Admiral Shin asked. At least 23 major powers and hundreds of smaller ones, Kyung-soo replied. But here's the interesting part. They're not all working together willingly. Many of them are being coerced by the larger empires. Dr. Ryu Chang-min joined the conversation from his laboratory. I've been analyzing the technology they're developing. Most of it is based on incomplete understanding of our systems. They're creating weapons that are as dangerous to themselves as they are to us. What do you mean? General An asked. The Nexari Eldrani consciousness weapon, for example. If they actually use it, there's a significant chance it will create a feedback loop that destroys both species' ability to think individually. They'll become one giant, confused mind with no clear purpose or direction. Admiral Shin leaned back in his chair. They're so afraid of our technology that they're willing to risk destroying themselves to stop us. Fear makes people do stupid things, Kyung-soo observed, but it also creates opportunities. If we can show them that cooperation is more beneficial than conflict, we might be able to avoid a galactic war. And if we can't? General An asked. Then we make sure we're ready, Admiral Shin replied grimly. On the edge of the galaxy, something else was stirring. The Time Weavers, another ancient civilization, had detected temporal distortions caused by human reality manipulation technology. These beings existed partially outside normal time, and they could see the potential futures spreading out from this moment. The humans are at a crossroads, their leader observed, watching the branching paths of possibility. In some futures, they unite the galaxy in peace and prosperity. In others, they are forced to destroy those who would destroy them. Which future is most likely? Asked another Time Weaver. That depends on choices that have not yet been made. But there is something else. The Devourer Confederation has detected the energy signatures from this region. They are coming. How long do we have? In linear time. Perhaps 2 of their years. But if the galaxy descends into war, the chaos will attract them faster. The Devourers feed on conflict and destruction. Back at the diplomatic station, Kyung-soo was working late when an unexpected visitor arrived. The Threnody Dominion leader materialized in his office like a shadow becoming solid. "Ambassador," the ancient being said, its voice like whispers from the depths of time. "We must speak privately." "Of course," Kyung-soo replied, activating his office's privacy shields. "What can I do for you?" "Your species is in great danger, not just from the conspiracy you have discovered, but from something far worse. The Devourer." "Confederation is coming to this galaxy!" Kyung-soo felt his blood turn cold. He had read about the Devourers in the ancient archives that humanity had been given access to. They were a force that consumed entire galaxies, leaving nothing but empty space behind. "How long do we have?" he asked. 2 years, perhaps less if the current tensions escalate into war. The Devourers are attracted to chaos, conflict, and the energy released by massive battles. A galactic war would call them here much faster. "Then we need to prevent that war," Kyung-soo said. "Yes, but there is something else you must know. Your species' technology is based on creator artifacts, but you are not the only ones to find such artifacts." The Great Assembly was the largest gathering of intelligent life in galactic history. Representatives from over 3,000 civilizations crowded into the expanded Convergence Point station. The air buzzed with thousands of different languages, and the corridors pulsed with the energy of beings who had never met before. President Moon Tae-young stood at the center of the massive assembly hall, looking out at the sea of alien faces. She was a small woman with gray hair and calm eyes, but her voice carried to every corner of the vast space. "Citizens of the galaxy," she began, "we have called you here because we face a threat that no single civilization can survive alone. The Devourer Confederation is coming to our galaxy." The hall erupted in chaos. Some species had heard legends of the Devourers. Others knew them only as myths. Many had never heard of them at all. "Impossible," shouted a Vorthak representative. "The Devourers are stories told to frighten children." "They are real," said the Threnody Dominion leader, materializing like a shadow at the center of the hall. "We have seen them destroy 17 galaxies over the last 50 million years. They consume everything: planets, stars, space itself. Nothing survives their passage." The ancient being's words carried the weight of eons, and the hall fell silent. Dr. Pyo Minji stepped forward, her tablet displaying holographic images of deep space. She was young and energetic, with bright eyes and quick movements. "Our long-range sensors have detected the Devourer fleet 6 months ago. They are using some form of dark energy manipulation to travel between galaxies. Current projections show they will arrive in 18 months. "How many ships?" asked a Quillian collective representative. "We estimate 47 million vessels, ranging from planet-sized dreadnoughts to reality-warping superweapons. Their fleet is larger than all our combined civilizations." The numbers hung in the air like a death sentence. "Then we are already dead," whispered a Nexari coordinator. "No force in the galaxy could stand against such an armada." "Actually," said President Moon with a slight smile, "we think there is a way. But it requires something that has never been achieved in galactic history: complete cooperation between all species." Admiral Ko Sung-hwan appeared on the main screen from his flagship in orbit. He was an older man with battle scars on his face and wisdom in his eyes. "We have been studying creator technology for 60 years. We have learned that their most powerful systems require multiple species working together. No single race can operate them alone." "What kind of systems?" asked the Eldrani Federation leader. "Galaxy-scale defensive networks. Reality anchors that can lock entire star systems into stable space-time. Energy conversion systems that can turn a Devourer's own power against them. But most importantly, the Genesis drive." Captain No Sang-woo stepped forward to explain. He was a young officer, with an easy smile and confident manner. "The Genesis drive doesn't destroy. It creates. It can regenerate consumed matter, restore destroyed planets, even bring back entire star systems. The Devourers consume, but Genesis creates faster than they can destroy. This technology requires the combined knowledge of every major civilization," President Moon continued. Vorthak crystal computation matrices, Quillian energy manipulation, Nexari coordination networks, Corvin manufacturing precision, Eldrani psychic amplification, and Threnody temporal knowledge, plus the unique contributions of hundreds of smaller species. The hall was silent as the implications sank in. "You are asking us to share our most advanced technologies with our enemies," said a Draconian Empire general. "We are asking you to share your technologies with your allies," President Moon replied. "Because as of today, there are only two sides in this galaxy, those who fight the Devourers together and those who die alone." Over the next 3 days, the debates raged. Some species agreed immediately. The smaller civilizations that had already allied with humanity were eager to contribute, but many of the major empires resisted. "Why should we trust you?" demanded Kristen Prime. "Your species appeared from nowhere and now claims to be our savior." "Because," said Park Tae-ho, who had been quietly observing from the side, "we are not asking you to trust us. We are asking you to trust each other." On the 4th day, the first Devourer scouts arrived. They appeared at the edge of the galaxy without warning. 3 massive ships, each the size of a moon, materialized from dark space and immediately began consuming a small star system. The inhabited planets were devoured in minutes. Billions of lives ended in an instant. The reports reached the assembly within hours. The debate stopped. The reality of extinction focused every mind in the hall. "The main fleet is accelerating," Dr. Pyo Minji reported. "The scouts have sent a signal. The Devourers now know exactly where we are and how populous our galaxy is. They will arrive in 8 months instead of 18. President Moon stood again at the center of the hall. "The time for debate has ended. We can unite now, or we can spend our last months fighting each other while the Devourers consume us piece by piece." One by one, the civilizations began to agree. First, the smaller species, then the medium powers, and finally, reluctantly, the 6 major empires. The greatest technological sharing project in galactic history began immediately. Human ships carried Vorthak scientists to Quillian research stations. Nexari coordinators worked with Eldrani psychics to perfect communication networks. Corvin manufacturing systems were upgraded with Threnody temporal manipulation technology. But it was the smaller civilizations that provided the most crucial contributions. The Zephyr Republic's unique understanding of quantum resonance, the Crystalline Collective's ability to grow living computers, the Thermal Federation's mastery of stellar engineering. Hundreds of species contributed pieces of the puzzle. Admiral Ko Sung-hwan oversaw the construction of the first Genesis drive. It was built in orbit around a neutron star, using the star's gravity to focus dimensional energy. The construction required the coordinated effort of 3,000 ships from 600 different species. "Initial tests are successful," he reported to the assembly. "The Genesis drive can recreate matter at the quantum level. We've successfully restored a consumed asteroid to its original state. But the real test came when the second wave of Devourer scouts arrived. This time, there were 30 ships, and they attacked the Corvin Assembly's home system. The system's defenses, once considered invincible, lasted exactly 4 minutes. Captain No Sang-woo led the first combined fleet response. His task force included ships from every major civilization, all using integrated human-alien technology. His flagship was a marvel of cooperative engineering, a Vorthak crystal hull containing Quillian energy cores, controlled by Nexari coordination, networks armed with Eldrani psychic amplifiers and powered by human reality manipulation systems. "All ships, begin coordinated assault," Captain No ordered. "Remember, we're not just fighting for our own species anymore. We're fighting for everyone." The battle was unlike anything in galactic history. The combined fleet used tactics that no single species could have developed alone. Vorthak ships phased through dimensions, while Quillian vessels channeled pure energy. Nexari coordination allowed perfect synchronization, while Eldrani psychics disrupted Devourer communications. And in the center of it all, human ships activated the first field Genesis drive. As the Devourers consumed planets, the Genesis drive recreated them faster than they could be destroyed. As they devoured stars, new stars formed to replace them. For the first time in their existence, the Devourers encountered something they could not consume. "Impossible!" transmitted the lead Devourer ship. Its voice was like the death of galaxies. "We are consumption. We are ending. We are inevitable." "You are not inevitable," Captain No replied. "You are just another problem to be solved." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 28 of the 30 Devourer scouts had been destroyed. The remaining 2 fled back to their main fleet. The victory celebration lasted only minutes. Dr. Pio Minji's sensors brought devastating news. The main Devourer fleet has accelerated again. They're coming with everything they have. 400 million ships. They'll be here in 3 months. President Moon addressed the assembly again, but now she was speaking to united allies instead of suspicious rivals. "We have proven that we can fight them. Now we must prepare for the final battle. Every ship, every station, every inhabited world must be ready." The next 3 months transformed the galaxy. Ancient grudges were set aside, traditional enemies worked together, resources were shared freely. The greatest military buildup in galactic history took place with unprecedented cooperation. Humanity's contribution was not just technology, but philosophy. They taught the galaxy that strength came from unity, that diversity created innovation, and that the willingness to protect others made everyone stronger. When the Devourer fleet finally arrived, they faced something they had never encountered before: an entire galaxy working as one. The battle lasted 30 days. It raged across hundreds of star systems. Genesis drives restored consumed worlds, while combined fleets held the line. Ancient civilizations that had remained hidden for eons emerged to fight alongside species that had been born yesterday. The turning point came when Dr. Pio Minji made a crucial discovery.